Are we here yet? Hello and welcome to Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr. This is my co-host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here.
We have another guest. I'm trying to get him in the window here. And I don't know what the problem is. So we're having some technical difficulties. Let me just try to see how come it hasn't come in yet. Nope, it's not coming in. Larry, you there? Maybe he turned off his phone. Hello? Okay. Well, anyway, while we try to figure that out, if you can hear me, then go back out and come back in with the video on. Otherwise, I'm going to wait for it to open up the window because I've tried to include it in the stream. Anyway, so this week, we've got some more information about some of these issues that are facing the Black community, centering on policing. And I was able to find some information about some of the legislation that's out there that's floating around. And are you there, Larry? Are you there yet? I can't hear you. Okay. And so I thought maybe we touch base with that a little bit, maybe point out a couple of things, see if there's some comments or thoughts on that, and then move on to whatever else might be on the agenda. So let me see if I can bring that window in. Okay, hold on. Now, we did this before we started, so it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, let me do this. Should be this bigger problem. That's up, and you can't see it. I can see it on the screen here. Can you see it now?
You're talking to me, Dad?
Do you see it? No?
I'm actually frozen.
You're frozen? No. I can see your eyes blinking. So on this end, you're good.
Yeah, but I'm on a frozen screen that has everything black, so I can't see anything moving.
All right, I see all three. No, I see two. I don't see Larry anymore. No. Is that me? That's me. Okay, yeah, I have it in the screen. You don't see it on the screen?
I'm still frozen. I'm gonna leave and come back in.
Okay.
I can't see anything.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Guess that was me. Glasses don't work. Do. Yeah, this is song and dance time. Commercial break. Let's see this here. Device is not connected. Hold on. Add. Okay. You there? You can't hear me? Say something.
No.
Say.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay.
That might not have been Larry Jr. in the window there. That might have been.
I'm not hearing anything.
You can't hear me? This is wacky this week.
I can't hear anything.
No?
I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Okay. Excuse the difficulties. I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut a lot of this portion out. This is the first. How many minutes are we into this? Let me do. What does it say here? Hold on. Well, look, Link says it's ended at 58. Ended at 58 minutes. Okay, let me do this. Hold on. I'm really trying to think quickly here. And I got to send this message. Hold on. This is P? No, I'm sorry. Ah, that was a mistake. Hold on. Put that back and do this. Control V and send that. Come on, get over there. Send it. Okay. Now we'll put that down. Well, you're back. Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now clearly.
Okay. I just got a text from Larry. I
Okay.
guess I sent him the wrong link. So we'll see.
Okay.
In the interim, I'm getting feedback. The enemy is busy this week. Let's see.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, let's start. We have a summary of the facts, Justice and Policing Act of 2020. The Justice and Policing Act is the first ever bold, comprehensive approach to hold police accountable in racial profiling, change the culture of law enforcement, empower our communities, and build trust between law enforcement and our communities by addressing systematic racism and bias to help save lives. The Justice and Policing Act would, one, okay, here I see Larry's coming in. Let me add him here. You got your, you don't have your, I got your video. Had the video in, Larry?
Yeah, I'm not camera ready, fellas.
Let's get a headshot, man. Come on. Well, we
Welcome
want
to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, we started talking about the, let me pull that up again because it's not in front of me. The Justice and Policing Act of 2020. So I have a summary of it, and I thought maybe we'd just throw that out there, and if there's some comments, get the comments and go from there. Excuse me. The Justice and Policing Act would, one, establish a national standard for the operation of police departments. Two, mandate data collection on police encounters. Three, reprogram existing funds to invest in transformative community-based policing programs. And four, streamline federal law to prosecute excessive force and establish independent prosecutors for police investigations. Now, let me read the rest of them and get that out the way. The Justice and Policing Act of 2020 will work to end racial and religious profiling, prohibits federal, state, and local law enforcement from racial, religious, and discriminatory profiling, mandates training on racial, religious, and discriminatory profiling for all law enforcement, requires law enforcement to collect data on all investigatory activities, save lives by banning chokeholds and no-knock warrants. Bans chokeholds and carotid holds at the federal level, and conditions law enforcement funding for state and local governments banning chokeholds. Okay, we'll run with that. Okay. Comments, thoughts, misunderstandings?
I think it's crazy that they need to make a law about that. That's ridiculous.
About what? All of them or one of them?
All of it. Religious discrimination, chokeholds, and all of that stuff. The fact that it didn't exist before, and they're only putting it into place just because of minorities or religious discrimination lets everyone know that this has been a problem for quite some time.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes people don't pay attention to what makes sense or what's right until you make it a law.
As long as it's not bothering them. Yeah, as long as it's not bothering them, there's no need to do it.
Right. I certainly understand that. And we have become accustomed to that kind of thinking. And even when it is a law, unless it's an accepted law, it is going to be ignored. And the case in point would be prohibition on alcohol.
Right.
It was, we had this whole big thing about you can't drink, whatever, and people did what they did anyway, until they figured out that that law just could not be enforced, and they backed up off. Now, within the last few weeks, laws have been passed across the country about legalizing marijuana. Now, we all know that no matter how much marijuana Black folks might smoke, we cannot put all our money together and buy any marijuana from outside of this country and bring it in.
Right.
But we are the ones who are suffering from the legal aspect of it, being arrested for having it or using it or selling it or whatever. But now, because someone figured out that the law was unenforceable, let's make it legal. And that one side of your mouth, you said that. On the other side of your mouth, most Black people can't afford to go into business with that now. So we still getting the short end of the stick.
Right.
But
can I throw something in there? Because
sure.
I kind of agree with Larry. Like it's kind of laughable about them doing these laws now, and to say that they need to streamline federal law to prosecute excessive force. It's not the law that's permitting these people from getting dealt with. You got the unions out there. They got legal teams, and they are capitalizing on these things. It's like they need to figure out a way to punish them when it's done without the unions being able to cover these people, because it's like what's wrong is wrong. And for them to say they're going to streamline the law for what? So that the union can go out there and still defend them against prosecution. It's kind of like a little. I think they're just giving us a song and dance, because if they really want to do it, really all you got to do is make a policy and enforce it. I mean, you don't even have to make it a law. You can make a policy, enforce it. You'll be terminated on site, and then you will be sued by the injured party. And you won't have backing from the union, and you won't have backing from the police department. So you'll be a civilian that has to stand for and represent themselves.
Yeah, that could happen. That usually doesn't work very well, because there's a lot of folks out there who think they know the law, who think they understand the law, and don't have a clue about what they're talking about. But in order to help them along, let's enact a law to override some of the vague laws that are actually still on the books. So at least they're saying, look, we're going to take a hard look at this, the way we've been doing business, because look, we talk about item number 4 there, streamline federal law to prosecute excessive force and establish independent prosecutors for police investigations. We have a system that is actually designed to rebuff itself. You have police on one side, and you have the judicial system on the other side. And we're talking about having a land of laws. Well, both of these are not necessarily working together at the same time, moving in the same direction at the same pace. And so it almost self-exacerbates itself as people go through the system and try to get justice. So clarity is something that is important, and I think is also necessary. I mean, not necessarily think that everything they're saying is going to make a big difference. I think there's some other things that need to be done in addition to new laws that need to be done that'll, make a difference. For example, my biggest complaint is that the culture of the police department. You come in there and you're relying. You come in there because you're making yourself available to deal with criminals every minute of the day that you're available to work. And you could be called in at any time to deal with criminals. And so the question I would have is that why aren't there mental health examinations of police officers annually? Because how long can you sit at your desk or go out on patrol and deal with the worst of humanity and it not affect you? How long can you do that? You know, I personally, I can't do it. You know, I could take just so much foolishness and then I'm gonna snap. And I think a lot of other people feel the same way. You don't know when you're gonna snap, but hey, you know, people can do things that you would not imagine to themselves and to others.
Yep.
In the papers today, they're talking about a mother they're investigating who killed her 2 twin children. With all the resources that we have, the churches, the hospitals, the schools, the woman could not take the children to say, hey, let me take them to the church. Let me take them to the police department. Let me take them to the hospital and leave them at the door. I can't deal with it no more. I'm overwhelmed. You got to kill them? And then, you know, walk around like, you know, life is still good. You know, so these are the kind of things that these police officers have to deal with, you know, and it's not like you have an option. Because this is the job you decided you wanted to do, as long as you do it, great. When you stop doing it, that might be a problem for you. I'm in a patrol car with you and you decide, well, I want to go out there and save no lives. But what about mine? You know what I mean? We're partners. There's only the two of us out here today. We need to go deal with this. And there lies the problem in the culture. People have to trust that you're going to be there for them. And then people make mistakes. Just like the female officer, sergeant, whatever she was, who shot Devontae, I forget his last name.
Right.
Right. Okay. And, you know, I mean, I saw the video. What I did see, it looked like it clearly was an accident. Yeah, I understand that the Glock weighs almost 3 times the weight of a taser, and that is actually physically placed on the other side of your belt. But I certainly can understand in the midst of 3 or 4 seconds, when it looks like the guy is reaching for a gun or whatever, I don't know what he's reaching for because I can't see his hands anymore. You got to make a decision. You stand there and look at him and wait for him, and he turns around and blows your head off. Or
Right.
do you respond? You know, and again, with the young girl, there's going to be a lot of controversy over that. You know, police officer pulls up, boom, he sees right there. Suddenly this girl's got a knife and she's about to stab somebody. What am I supposed to do? Stand here and wait for the stab and then say, oh, you need to stop because the police are here? If that was my daughter and you did that, we would have a different kind of conversation.
I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, but like I said before, we've seen police take heavily armed people, white people, into custody with no issue. So how is it that we have this disparity in numbers of it not happening for other colored people?
Well, can I address that? You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times, because I see it's an educational thing, because you have so many people talking about how they would act and they get in their emotions like, oh, I'm being mistreated, and they don't really know how to deal with the issue. If you're being disrespected by police, there's a process that you go by. You know what I'm saying? You have rights in the court of law, but the things you got to get to the court of law. If some people know they got a lawyer on deck, they're gonna, oh, I shot somebody. Hey, here's the gun. It's unloaded. This, that, and the other. They get handcuffed. They get taken. And look at John Gotti back in the day. You know, he probably killed more people than chicken pox. You know what I'm saying? But
Allegedly.
allegedly. Okay, my bad. So, but when the cops came to get him, he walks right out. He gets handcuffed. He walks right out. He goes to court and he beats the trial. You know,
Right, but
I
he
mean,
would be
he could
considered white, right?
but listen, you jumping in there, right? But the thing is, he got lawyers on deck. He knows that if he goes and wilds out, one, it's going to look bad in the public. Two, it's not going to help his case. You see what I'm saying? And then you got to make it to court. You know, if you got people that don't like you, your best bet is to be around people that can actually share in your, well, you got to prove that he's guilty first off. But if you're not allowing yourself to get to that venue, you know what I'm saying? When you have all this hysteria going around and, oh, well, cops are out to kill you, and you think the cops are going to kill you, and you start wilding out like you trying to save your own life, you actually might be jeopardizing it. But this is the culture that you've been told, and it costs you, you know, something that's priceless. You know, these other people that know what their resources are, whether they know exactly if they're going to get off or not, they know that if they go to court, they're going to have a better chance of walking home than if they try to fight with these people today.
This is true.
Some people feel that way, right? Some others don't.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and I'm not taking anything away from the magnitude of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying, and I think I've seen this on Facebook, is not less crime. It's just more of it's being filmed. And we're seeing that, and one of the problems with that, you know, I mean, it's a good thing. Yes, don't get me wrong. But we only get what is shown to us. We don't watch police officers 24/7. We could not see all of them at one clip and see what they're doing. Case in point, this week right here in my community, in Hempstead, Long Island, you know, amazing. Black guy at Stop and Shop kills one person, shoots two others. You know, here on Long Island, you can't get off the island unless you got a plane or boat, or you can find your way on one of the 3 highways. That would be the LIE, that would be the Turnpike, and that would be the Southern State. And Sunrise Highway. Okay, 4. So there's only 4 roads to get off of this place. And you think that the cops can't block that and figure out who they're looking for? So anyway, they chase this guy. It's in West Hempstead. I'm in Hempstead. They catch him in Hempstead, and he ain't dead. All right? Hempstead is a minority community. It used to be mostly black. Now it's mostly Hispanic, but it's people of color. And Nassau County Police Department is mostly white. They came into Hempstead, which has its own police department, to help, okay? And they caught the young man, and you know, he got his perp walk, you know, into the jailhouse. But the point is that I'm saying that there may be a disproportionate number of us being shot by police. I ain't going to complain about that because that's the truth. But there are some guys out there actually figured out how to do the job without killing people. Okay.
Right.
So, you know, we have to be strong, we have to be tough and firm on this, but we just can't be too general in how we talk about it because we confuse people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as I was saying with the other case with the young girl, the teenage girl who got shot, you know, white cop, black group of teenagers, one girl, black girl, against another black girl, and a knife. You know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type of a situation there. I mean, you know, especially at this time in history, you know, and I think there's going to be a controversy there. Everybody's lining up, oh, another police shooting a black person. But then the reality, to me, that's my opinion, you better have shot her. You know, stopped her. Okay, put it that way, stopped her. And if the only way you could have done it because you were that far away before she could have stabbed the girl was to shoot her, then, And people are talking, oh, well, she had such a tough life and all that. That ain't got nothing to do with today, and you got a knife on my child. I don't know nothing about what happened to you yesterday. That ain't my problem. Ain't my fault. And if it is, you could have dealt with it differently, right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. You guys tell me. You think I'm wrong?
Nope.
Okay. But but it's going to be an issue, a big issue. Yes, somebody died, unfortunately, but somebody was trying to kill somebody over what? You disrespected me at school. You stole my boyfriend. What could Jay have done at that age that would have caused someone to want to kill him? So now we have to look at the parents. This is in your household. This child got up this morning, all of them got up that morning, and then got dressed, ate, whatever, and came outside into society. And did what? I'm sure you didn't teach him that. I hope you didn't teach him that's how you should conduct yourself in public, threatening people, carrying a knife, grabbing a knife and want to kill somebody. Because a knife is going to cut, man, just like a gun. You pull it, you better use it. Because it ain't going to be pretty if you don't. Now, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I don't know what to do. I'm 70 years old. Jesus Christ, I never thought it would get this bad out here. But we need to do something. We need to have those hard conversations. I mean, it's not hard. This is a conversation. It's not personal. You listen, this is wrong. How you treat the thousands and thousands of cops out there, and we only represent 10% of the population. And we're like 5 times the possibility of getting shot by a cop than everybody else. There's something wrong here. If you don't want to figure it out, don't want to stop and talk about and figure this out and work it out, eventually people are going to just take it upon themselves to say, well, I don't need you to police me. I'll police me. And you at the same time.
But honestly, that's what it should be. If there were no violence, there would be less need for police. You know what I'm saying? If the worst thing that was happening was people jaywalking, you could probably do that. You could probably handle that situation with 2 or 3 police in each precinct. Oh, we're writing jaywalking tickets. But if you got people wilding out, breaking into homes with gunpoint, shotguns, this, that, and the other, then it makes more demand for law enforcement. So it's like, if anybody out there is going to say we need to defund the police, then they need to be policing the streets before they say anything about defunding the police. They should get out there and say, look, what is that? They used to do neighborhood watch. Get out there, do neighborhood watch, keep your neighborhood safe, and then you reduce the need for police in your area. If you ain't going to do that, then you probably should just be quiet.
Well, I'm going to go back to what Larry was saying earlier about the need for these laws. You got a law on the book that says you can't jaywalk. That's nuts. That's just nuts. And whoever put it on there should be shot, because people are going to cross the street, however they cross the street, and you as a licensed driver should understand that things happen and you should be careful. Period. I'm going to give them a ticket so they don't run out in the street. Really? That's going to work. The thing with Dante Wright, had a air freshener in his car window and you couldn't see him, so you have to stop him. It's a violation? Really? Is that all we pay you to do, is stand around and see if there's air fresheners in the person's window? I mean, there's something seriously wrong with some of this stuff. And I don't think I'm the one that has to sit here and try to explain it to y'all. Because if you don't understand it, we got a bigger problem than this. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, was there any other issue on this list that you wanted to talk about?
you know, other than that, is just, to me, they're just trying to tell people what, just try to make people feel comfortable. When if all that was possible, then the question is, why wasn't it done years ago? Because this has been going on for a long time. We've been through many different types of government-led situations, and all of them profess to be, looking out for their constituents. And I'm pretty sure colored people, Black folks, minorities are part of their constituents. And for them to not have these things addressed earlier, now in 2021, now it's like, oh, well, this is the flavor of the month. We're going to go with this. And hopefully people will buy it,
Well, look, this number one on this list, establish a national standard for the operation of police departments. I think
they should already have that. They should already have a national standard. These are the things that are acceptable, period.
Well, see, the thing is, if you're saying that you agree with it, then I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I agree. I'm saying it should have already been done. Why is it 2021 and they talking about doing it now? How long has policing been in effect?
Well, it's long overdue, and we're not going to be able to do anything about the fact that it's long overdue. But now that it's here, we need to focus on it and make it happen, because there are 18,000 police departments in the United States. 18,000. And New York is one of the largest, if not the largest. And there's no standard. They're not held accountable equally across the board. So you could come to New York, start working here in our police department, understand the complexity of the bureaucracy and all that, and then fail and go get a job in Kansas City in one of the smaller communities. And you big guy, hey, I'm all that. I worked in New York, but you failed in New York. They don't know anything about that. And then they don't know why you failed.
That's on Kansas City not doing their background check.
Well, I'm saying, the thing is, you go to a small department, they don't have people to sit around and do background checks. You see what I'm saying?
I think I disagree with that, because in this day and age of internet and background, they've been doing background checks.
I can do a background check.
That's not the question. You know that. It's not people's ability to do it. The thing is that if it's not in the policy, it's not in the practice, and we don't have the resources, it ain't going to get done.
Right. Now, is it important?
He's a good guy. We got a referral from the mayor on him. He's a good guy. Mayor don't know him from the back of his hand. He just got here. And again, a background check, because your department in Minnesota only uses a 1-page document. Everybody else uses 6 pages. Whoop, there it is, But if it's standardized, at least we got a better shot at figuring out this guy was a problem there. He's gonna be a problem here.
Well, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. We in the age of information. This stuff, this is ridiculous. People should not be still dealing with this.
Here's the problem. Let me tell you. Here's the problem, right? Just like we have the availability of information, we still depending on somebody to put the information in there, to send it somewhere, or somebody to ask for it. We still asking the same people in the same system to tell on their brother or their sister. And that's where you're not going to have the accountability that you're asking, unless you're going to have a choir boy or a choir girl in every office that's going to be able to look at everything, which that's unhuman. That's not humanly possible to do that. You're depending on that same culture that protects itself to tell on itself.
Well,
and that's where the problem is.
There's a problem there, yes, but
I don't think that's the problem. I think at the bottom, at the end of the day, the whole thing is about financing. If you take the power structure away, or the indemnity away from people who commit these crimes, it will stop. It will police itself. If Officer Johnson shot somebody, there's nobody that could protect Officer Johnson except himself and his video camera, which should have been on. Period. If you don't meet the criteria for a legitimate police shooting, then you have to stand on your own. And until they do that, it's always going to be slanted to whoever is in power. And right now, it would be the Caucasian people. If it was the Indian people, they would have the advantage.
Well,
And that's the case.
it's a problem that has to be dealt with. And I'm thinking that as we look through this list here, they're trying to make some headway towards dealing with some of those issues. Well, number 4, again, streamline federal law to prosecute excessive force and establish independent prosecutors. And we started this conversation a minute ago about this. Police departments, the Justice Department. You got the DA office, the prosecutors, all that kind of stuff. And they're like battling between each other to get the job done. If you have a case where a police officer was by himself in uniform, got in a scuffle with a suspect, his camera got knocked off, damaged, or whatever, and then he shoots him, and it's
That's
all
understandable.
at night. How are you going to deal with it in Chicago as you deal with it in Florida? There's no standard yet. At least here, and what number 4 is leading me to understand, is that there'll be a standard in how we handle this. And it won't be because that officer happens to be the chief's nephew or the mayor's brother-in-law. It'll be a standard.
But
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to cut in, but there's a problem with that because you have some of these places that want to have sanctuary cities where they make themselves unavailable to the federal government. So when you have places like California and other places saying that, oh well, yeah, that's federal law, but we're not going to follow that. You see, that's where you start coming into these problems. Like, well, we're going to pick and choose which federal laws that we're going to enforce or follow. You see what I'm saying? You're still depending on the system to check itself. We need to have a civilian accountability, maybe a civilian commission that supervises all police shootings or interactions during that month and call the police chief there to say, hey, what happened on January 1st? Or what happened on May 5th? You know what I'm saying? Tell us what happened. We need to see the video footage. We need to see all of it. You know what I'm saying? Not we need to see from the time officer so-and-so got on shift to the time, oh, you don't have it. Okay, so there's no way that he's going to not get fired. There's no way that we're going to give the union the power to represent this guy because he blatantly failed to do his job. That's his job to have this on from the time he starts to the time he finishes. He can't produce a video. You're gone.
Well, that would be nice, but I don't think it's going to work like that. I do believe that there'll probably be some civilian input, yes, but you have the local cop and the local prosecutor battling between, the cop messed up, and now should we prosecute him, should we not prosecute him? With the federal law being the standard, there's no question. There's no question as to should he be prosecuted or not. That is the out that we would have that we don't have now. If people in their little departments done things the way they usually do it, and then they say, oh, well, we don't do it that way. The federal law requires you to do it this way. And if you don't want to do it this way, you're not going to get any dollars. And you're not going to get wait.
Financing.
Wait. You're not going to get any dollars, and you're not going to be able to get any insurance. So now what? You be out there like you in the Wild West trying to enforce what law? No one's going to pay attention to you. No one's going to give a crap what you say when you roll up because they know that you're an unofficial police officer. So having the federal guidelines hanging over their heads, I think that's a good thing.
Only if they follow it.
Only if they follow it. If you're staring down a illegitimate police officer with a pistol, It doesn't matter if they're legitimate right now or not. They got a gun on you.
Yeah, but then again,
Like Will said, you got to get to court.
he's gonna have to go home sooner or later.
Right. And the supposed perpetrator is going to have to go home too, and they want to make it.
No, they'd be dead. But then the police
Right.
officer gotta go home. Listen, people will figure that part out. No sense in encouraging them or giving them a clue. You got a rogue cop working for a rogue police department, supposedly enforcing what laws?
But the question here's the problem though: the federal law don't dictate state law. State has sovereignty. That's why they have their own Congress. They have their own Senate. They have their own Supreme Court. So the federal government can only do so much. They can't say that a cop is illegitimate if that state recognizes that cop.
They are not going to pass this law in a vacuum. It is going to have all the bells and whistles that it needs. The state has sovereignty. It ain't sovereign. Okay. There are connections. There are requirements. There are regulations. There is money on the table that comes from the feds that the state actually needs. And if they don't want to cooperate and follow the federal law, then it's on.
The states are sovereign.
You run the way you want to run, but it ain't gonna work out for you well.
But
the states are sovereign. The states are sovereign.
But here's also the thing is, if they say, you know what, we don't need your money, we're good the way we are, you don't have no power.
Listen,
so
and if they have a governor that said that, he will not be the governor very long.
Texas is talking about seceding. Texas is talking about seceding right now, and people are all okay with it.
Good, let them go. I guarantee you it won't be 2 months before they be like, oh, listen, I'm going to kind of change.
I don't think so. I don't think that Texas makes enough money. Texas makes enough money on its own that it does not need federal funds. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's about funds.
Larry,
it's about funds.
Larry, you are not going to have much going on in your state if you can't get a plane in there or out of there. You can't get a truck in there or out of there. You can't get a ship up in there with any supplies or out of there. When the federal government says you're going to get shut down, you will be shut down.
They can't.
Right. Okay. Hang on, Will.
Hold on. They can't do that because in a sense, look at it like this: Texas, all these states, like China's a nation state. Every state is pretty much a country in itself. We are part of the United States. Yeah. That's what gives the dollar the wealth, the strength that it has, because we agreed to follow federal laws. If Texas secedes, you got to think of Texas as its own country. That governor is like a president.
Right.
Okay. He has the authority to do whatever. Texas has ports. Texas is right there next to Mexico.
William,
they will be like their own country.
William, they would be their own country. Yes. Whatever they want to call themselves, that's what they would.
They have oil.
The problem is that they are not going to be connected legally to anyone else in the country. That means
and they don't have to be.
That means you think you got a ship of supplies that's coming in from Mexico or wherever. The federal government will shut you down, and
they can't
squat about it.
They're their own country. They can't. They have no power over them if they're their own country. That's like trying to shut down Cuba.
Or North Korea.
Okay.
Or North Korea.
I'm gonna leave that alone for you because eventually the light bulb will come on. You'll figure it out.
I'm sure.
Dad, just because that's your opinion doesn't mean that it's absolutely right.
Country has when they feel that they want to dominate you for whatever reason, you will be dominated.
That's exactly. And you know who else does that? The police do that.
Huh?
Right? That's the same way the police operate. If they want to dominate you, they will. And nobody's going to stop it until you cut off their life source, which is funding. So until you can make whatever laws you want, it means nothing if they don't get enforced.
Well, listen, they could do that if they want to. It's not going
Right.
to work. And that's the point I'm trying to make about Texas succeeding. It's just not going to work. I mean, we could talk about that all day long. The point is that one thing the government is going to say, and they'll tell all of us at the same time, we ain't going to have that. You think you can,
It's not up to them. It's not up to the United States if Texas succeeds.
listen to what I'm saying now. You think you, as a governor of a particular state, can say, look, we
Yes.
leave going on our own.
Yes, that's his job.
That is not going
Dad,
to work.
Dad, we'll say this. Hang on, Will. Dad, I suggest that you do some research on this situation, because that is exactly what the governor was talking about, and he can do it within his right.
I didn't
to
say
do
that.
question.
You said they're not going to do it.
I'm not
You said
saying
they can't do it.
I'm
Let
not
me-
saying that he can't do it.
Let me
I'm
say one
saying
word.
It ain't gonna work. That's what I'm saying.
Let me say Cuba. The United States are trying to shut down Cuba, a little nation state, for years. They've been banned. They banned all their stuff, but Cuba still survives. Cuba does whatever they want to do, and they're not even a fraction of the size that Texas is. And Texas has oil. They have access to ports. I mean, just because the rest of the United States don't deal with Texas, Texas will be able to survive and thrive. That's why people don't want Texas to leave the United
That's
States,
right.
because that would be a
The
significant
United States needs Texas.
You think the lifestyle in Cuba is what it should be right now?
That's a
They're
different argument.
surviving.
That's a different argument. That's a different argument. You could be independent and impoverished, or you could be dependent and wealthy. It's
Okay,
an
good point.
argument for your people.
Good
But
point.
Texas has oil. What other states have oil? Alaska.
They sell
Who else?
that oil to who?
Huh?
To anybody they can sell their
Anybody
oil
that
to.
wants it.
Today,
To anybody who wants it. They export
Today.
oil all the time. The reason we
China
was in the
still
Persian
uses
Gulf
oil.
was because we wanted to use somebody else's oil, not our own.
yeah, if they could get it in,
They're on the water. They're on the water. They are bordering another country.
Yeah.
There is no disadvantage for Texas.
listen, Mexico ain't but $2 short of being Texas. You think this
Right.
the difference that the two of them got together?
Mexico is
Yes.
Mexico is
You
Yes.
think they running out of Mexico to get into the U.S.?
they're not coming out.
They're
Dad,
going to be driving out
That's
to get out of Texas.
Dad, hold on.
Yeah,
Have you ever been to, hold on. Have you ever been to Mexico, Dad?
Yeah.
Where?
When?
Where?
Where?
Juarez?
Okay. That is probably the most dangerous city to be in, but there are beautiful places in Mexico. Mexican people are not the ones that's flooding the border. It's the people in countries
Nope.
below Mexico,
Yes.
like Honduras, all the El Salvador, all those other
Guatemala.
countries are coming up through Mexico
I
to get to the United
understand.
States.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. All I'm
Mhm.
saying is that let them try it and let's see if it's going to work. My thought is it ain't going to work, but okay, do what you want to do. You know?
Say it. It's
They're
real.
going if they're going to do what they can do. But the Texas is not the one worried about it. The United States is the one worried about it. Texas is ready to roll.
We ain't
And
worried.
they are able to
The
do it.
United States, the federal government is not worried about that.
They are worried about it. They're trying to block it.
Well, hold on.
They're
hold
trying
on.
to block it
People
down.
People
Okay.
do stuff to keep you busy. That's all.
Can we reconvene this another time? Because there was something that we need to squeeze in. We down to like a few minutes, so I know
Okay.
this is a heavy topic. If I could recommend we reconvene this at a later date. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Hold on. Let me close that up. Go on. I'm listening.
No. We had a topic that we wanted to discuss today, and we kind of got carried away with the whole Texas thing. But I wanted to make sure we had time for the main topic of the day.
And the main topic is what?
A father's last words.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So all three of us are fathers. Give me your last words.
Well,
I understand what you're saying. I really do.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you're taking me from up here to down here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just the time is what I was worried about. I didn't want to, we're privileged to have Larry here today. I didn't want to run out of time and then not have a chance to get it taken care of.
Well, it's Larry's fault that we all up in this other conversation.
I joined this. Said the topic was the father's last words, and we talking about police shootings. So that's where we started. That's why I started. I came in late.
See, had you come on time, we wouldn't have did that.
I came late because I had the wrong link.
Okay.
Hey, we're all guilty.
I was sitting in the other link by myself.
But
if I could start the father's last words, there is an interesting topic. There's a lot of things that a good father or even a bad father would want to leave behind if he knew he only had if he knew the conversation he was having would be one of his last or the last. There's a lot of things he would try, I would think, to leave behind, the wisdom he learned and the lessons he learned throughout life. And I think that those will be some of the most profound thoughts a person would want to share with his children. One thing that I think would be, I will hope will be left behind would be his admiration, his love, his respect, and his desire to see the next generation move forward and go further than he himself went.
Okay.
I try to have those conversations with my children. Not all the time because I don't want, to be caught in I'm going to leave, check out of here right now type of mind state. But I do let them know often that I love them dearly and I want them to succeed and go further than me. That is my goal as a father, to understand, to be confident in the fact that my children have the tools that they need and that they are determined to go further than I ever could.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's what I try to instill in them every day, all the time. I tell them they could do it, whatever it is, whatever they put their mind to. But it's not just, I try not to do it just like as a cliche, like, you see on TV or like they used to tell us when we was little, you could be president and stuff like that. I tell them you could actually do this. You don't have to, follow the status quo or do what other people say you need to do to be happy. You do what you need to do to be happy in your life. Mm-hmm. If that's going to college, if you're not interested in the college, whatever you want to do, you do, as long as you're not disrespecting God and you're not breaking the law. Go for it. Be the best you could be, because I don't know if you're gonna be the next Jeff Bezos or the dude that made the Rubik's Cube or whatever. But I know this: if you stuck at UPS, I'm not putting down UPS, but if you're stuck at UPS and you got dreams to do something else, you need to follow your dreams, dude, because that's what you're here for.
Mm. Okay. Well,
I really have no thoughts on the subject other than it's a topic that I would prefer to avoid. But thinking about it is very upsetting. But it's very important to think of the loss of my father. Yeah, it's not something I want to think about. Having that talk with my daughter, it's not something I really thought of, to be honest. But like I said, it's important though. It's very important and deserves a lot of thought, on what it's going to mean, what the impact is going to have, and what you desire to get across. Because sometimes the stuff you talk about may not get across the way you want it to. So it takes a lot to understand how to reach the people that you want to tell what's on your heart at that time.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Larry, he explained it, but I think you hit it right on the head. the last words I think any father would want to make sure that he was able to impart is that I love you. You know, nothing else really matters. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that trivially, things do matter. But the real thing is did you love me? Did you love me? I assume that you did the best you could with what you had to work with. The same thing that my father, when my father passed, everybody had an opinion, and they're entitled to their opinion. Oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But then it's not about what he didn't do. It's what did he do? That's what lasts. We all might want to be this and be that, and then sometimes we may try to do it. And then, it don't work out. That doesn't mean you should stop trying. That doesn't mean that you were wrong in trying, and that doesn't mean that it was guaranteed that you were going to do it just because you tried.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you know that you're loved and you know that you can share your love and love someone else, that's about all we can get out of this life, man, because we didn't bring nothing here with us and we can't take nothing away when we go, and if anybody comes back, I ain't never met them. So I don't know about that part.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I can say how I feel, what's in my heart before I leave. I want that opportunity to say, I love you. If I never said it before in my life, let me say it right now to both of you. I love you both.
Love you too.
I thank God for both of you, because I don't know what my life would be like if I didn't have you,
Right.
And it ain't about good days and bad days. Any day that you survive in this world is a good day.
It is.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about that, and we could talk some more.
Mm-hmm.
But, we run out of time.
Quick admin note. For our viewers, if you would like to suggest a topic for us to discuss, please hit us a comment down there in the comment section, and we'll look at it and see if we can get it into the rotation. And we thank you for being our viewers.
And we want to thank Larry for coming today and participating. You bring something to the table that we can chew on. Sometimes we have to spit it out, but it's okay. It's a good thing.
That goes both ways.
True. Ain't no one chef up in here.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me close out the program, and you guys hang on, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next week if the creek don't rise and God says it's okay.
All right. Amen.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave real quick because I'm frozen, but I'm coming right back.
Okay.